Hey, what's up, guys? So a few months back, I decided I wanted to build the most visually immersive sim rig anybody's ever seen. And when I say sim rig, I mean something that'll fit in a room. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to compete with these guys who are building them out of real cars because I just don't have that kind of space. But anyways, I grabbed a 3D printer and I went to work. And today, I want to share with you guys the top 5 things that I've built for the rig and why I like them so much. If you guys are interested in any of these builds, for at least 3 of them, I'll be able to share a link up in the top to the video where I built it. And if you guys want access to any of the STL files for any of the builds I've done so far, or anything on the rig that I've designed anyways, I've gone ahead and dropped those into the shared drive. You can join the channel membership and have access to any of those files. So let's jump in at number 5. The Racing Net quick release was a huge focus for me on this build. Like, it was something that I not only needed it to look really good, but I also needed it to function really well, because having to fight with things to get in and out of the rig isn't convenient. Like, if you're going to have to get up, you want to be able to get up quick and get out of the rig or do whatever you need to do. And the net shouldn't necessarily be that much of an inconvenience. So having a proper quick release that works right was important. It was kind of a sense of pride for me too, because it was like, this was going to be the first thing that I 3D printed that was going to have an actual mechanical function, albeit a simple one, but a function nonetheless. The other part of that for me was just having it look as good as possible to help bring some of the on-screen out of the sim rig and add that level of immersion. I think it turned out really good. It's a little bigger than what you would find on the actual race car, but the on-screen one feels a little bit bigger, so I needed it to be big enough to block most of that and kind of create that immersion. And I think it turned out really good, and I'm really happy with it. Number 4 on the list is the lap timer, and it's crazy to me that this even made the list, because my intention for the lap timer was literally just to fill in a gap where the roll cage meets the screen, like the roll cage that I built meets the on-screen roll cage, and to help kind of clean that up so there wasn't so much disconnect. But I love this lap timer. As I've been doing practice laps and things like that, I find myself trying to make sure that I get that green light on to show me that I'm getting the best possible lap time. And it just feels like it's constantly pushing me to go faster, because I want to stay green through the whole thing. And yeah, you have that on screen, but it's a lot more visible, a lot easier to look at. And it's almost become a game in itself of trying to get that green. So in that sense, I feel like it's driving me to get faster lap times. And for that, I absolutely love it. Like, it's awesome. Plus, it looks good. It functions well. And I think overall, it's just a good addition to a sim rig. But from a functionality standpoint, definitely worth the upgrade. And it's something that I will continue to have on my rig going forward, and use it like crazy to get the best possible lap times I can. Number 3 is kind of an odd one. It doesn't really fit this list so much, but it is one thing that I really, really like. And it's not done yet. It doesn't have any functionality. But the center console itself is turning out really, really good, and I'm really happy with it. And the thing with that is, I've kind of got a theme going. Like, the dash itself is basically a kind of trying to imitate a 992 Cup car. Then I've got the 991 Cup car button box. For the center console, I decided to use the GT3 RS because race cars don't really have the center console. The thing with that was, I do occasionally like to play other kinds of race simulators or simulation games, and I wanted to still be able to have a shifter and have it look clean and look good in the rig. And I think it's turning out really good. It's not exactly what the GT3 RS center console looks like, but it's got a lot of similarities to it, and I'm kind of trying to match it the best I can with the skills that I have. And I do think it's coming out good. I need to add an armrest to it, but aside from that, the rest of the build's pretty much done. And I've been very pleased with it so far. It's one that it's really designed to just hold the Fanatec shifter, but you could pretty much wedge just about anything in there as long as it fits similar dimensions. So it's a cool build. If you guys want a center console for your rig, definitely easy to print. Takes a while, but goes together pretty easy, works well, and I'm pretty happy with it. Number 2 on the list easily could have ended my sanity. Building a button box is easy. Wiring a button box for me is challenging. I'm just not good with Arduino and soldering. Not so much the coding of the Arduino, because I was able to get through that, but the actual soldering the wires to the Arduino board, I just don't have a lot of skill for that. If that's something you guys are good at, then that makes this build so much easier. But I think for me, what makes the button box such a big deal is for so many years, I've been wanting to put that button box onto my sim rig, and I kept looking at it, and it just wasn't, at that time, it just wasn't worth the expense. Like I had other things I needed to do with the rig, or other things I was doing with the game room, or something that I had going on at the time, and just couldn't bring myself to do it. And then I finally got the 3D printer, and I was able to take somebody else's STLs and modify them to create my own button box layout that worked for me, and implement some LED backlit buttons. And I just think the whole thing came together really well. That being said, I'm not sure this is my final version, because it does have more buttons than I find myself needing. And I'm kind of considering implementing some kind of screen into it just to provide more information. I would like to be able to see a little bit more of where other racers are and stuff like that, or maybe have a map or have the combination of the two, and design that almost like the lap timer, but an additional screen for information that I can use. So those are some things I'm considering with it, but nonetheless, the overall 991 button box design, absolutely awesome. I just love it. And it's not a design I see coming off the rig anytime soon. I just might change up the layout of the facing of it in the near future. Number one on the list, I think I've just beaten to a pulp as far as talking about how great it is. But the ambient lighting on the sim rig, I absolutely love it. What you guys are seeing on video is a bit intensified. When I'm racing by myself, I can tone it down a bit, and it looks even more amazing. But in order to get the proper lighting through the new GoPro, I had to turn up the lights quite a bit so that you would still be able to see the car interior and stuff. That being said, it's just absolutely phenomenal. The overall feeling of it, it's by no means is ambient lighting a required thing for a sim rig, but it's an awesome immersive upgrade that I highly recommend if you don't already have it. With the new coding I did for the last video, the DIY lighting is as good as the Govee lighting in my opinion, with one caveat. The only downside is you're a little bit more limited on where your grab points on the screen go. On the Govee lights, you can pretty much stick them anywhere. This is a little bit more linear, but the overall brightness of it and everything, and just the way that they work compared to the Govee, because you're able to create such a bigger amount of light, it just looks awesome. Like, I absolutely love the DIY lights. The Govee lights to support it are awesome. It gives you a good angle around the car, so it never really feels like it has that sunroof effect. And I'm really stoked with everything about this lighting system, and I've kind of been talking about it a little long just so you guys can experience the video of it and see how it's working and see how good it looks and how amazing it is. And I could go on forever about how cool this is. If you guys are looking to build your own, I've obviously, as I said, the STL files for the light boxes are available through the membership. You guys can go check it out. I used LED matrix to build it, and that was another thing that I'm pretty sure was a first for DIY lighting, because a lot of people were using the strips, and I wanted to recode it to be able to use these matrix. So all in all, I'm super stoked with how it turned out, and I think that this is probably going to remain number one on my list for best upgrades you can make to a sim rig. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's still a long ways to go with this rig. My immediate future plans for it are to start working on the new floorboard. Ultimately, 992 Cup cars don't have diamond plate in them. So my goal is to build a realistic, textured, properly colored floorboard for this thing. Basically, you'll notice, like, if you were to look it up, some concaving and things like that in the floorboard, and it's typically like a gray color. I want to emulate that. I want it to look realistic. So that's on the list of things that I'm going to be building in the coming weeks. Also have a lot more to do with designs and trying to perfect some things, maybe a few reprints here and there. But definitely, if you guys aren't following the channel, make sure you follow the channel and ring that bell so you get updated when there's new videos. Also, if you guys are looking to buy any new sim rig equipment, anything outside the States is about to get a little more expensive. Fanatec's already announced in April their prices are going to go up a bit. So for that, just if you guys are looking for Fanatec equipment, support the channel. Check out the affiliate link in the description. Until next week, I'll see you guys on the racetrack.